If you haven't touched Figma before, this video is for you. I'm going to walk you through every basic things you need to know, the tools, the workflow, the features, and we're going to learn by designing a real hero section while we're at it. So let's get started. So this is Figma. If you don't have an account yet, you can sign up. Just go to figma.com. It's free. And once you're in, just click on the new design file up here. And you will land on this empty canvas. So this is where everything happens. It looks intimidating at first, but I promise you that by the end of this video, none of it will feel scary anymore. There are basically 4 parts to the Figma interface. So below you have the toolbar. This is where your tools live. The move tool, the frame, shapes, pen, text, and so on. Then on the left side, you have the layers panel. Every single thing you create shows up here in a list. Think of it like the structure of your design. In the middle part, this huge empty space, that's your canvas. This is where you actually design. And then on the right side, the properties panel. This is important because whenever you select something, this panel shows you everything that you can change about it. Because whenever you select some size, position, this panel shows you everything that you're going to leave in this panel. And that's it. That's Figma. So let's start building. So the first thing you always do in Figma is to create a frame. So a frame is basically your artboard. It's the screen you're designing for. A website, a phone screen, a poster, or whatever. You design inside the frame. You can press F on your keyboard or just select the frame tool down here. So now look at your right panel. Figma gives you a bunch of presets or templates. You have phone sizes, tablets, desktop sizes, social media. We're designing a website hero, so I'll click desktop. So that gives us a 1440 by 1024 size canvas. And there it is. It's empty white. So an empty white frame appeared on the canvas. You'll also see it pop up in the layers panel on the left, and that's our hero frame. So before we design anything, we're going to set up a layout grid. This is the step most beginners skip, and it's why their designs look slightly off without them knowing why. A grid is just a guide on top of your frame. It helps you align things and keep spacing consistent and design like you're building a real website. With the frame selected, scroll down on the right panel until you see the layout grid option. Just click on the plus icon, and then instead of grid, let's use columns. Now you'll see vertical columns appear on your frame. Let's set this up properly. So what I'll do is change this to 12 columns, and that's the standard for web design, and set the gutter to 32. And then for the margin, let's do something like 100. This setting is a pretty popular choice among web designers, but it can differ depending on the style of the website that you're trying to design. So now we can build the navbar at the top of our hero section. Just a quick design lesson before we start. A navbar is usually made up of 3 things. A logo on the left, a few nav links in the middle, and 1 or 2 buttons at the end. It's usually something like sign in and get started. Once you know it, you'll see it on basically every website you visit. Since we don't have a logo yet, and we're not going to design one from scratch in this video, instead we're just going to grab one from the Figma community. So Figma community is basically just a giant library of files, plugins, and assets that other designers have published. You can see UI kits, icon sets, illustrations, logo packs, and full design systems, all free, all available with one click. There are also others that are paid, but most of them are free. To get there, just click on this icon that says community. And then from here, we can search for things like logo placeholder. And a bunch of files will pop up. You can pick anything you want. For me, I'll just pick this one, the first in the result. Then just open it. Click on the design page. And then let's just grab one of these logos. Just copy that and then paste it in your Figma canvas. So now we can add our nav links. To do that, just select your type tool and then click on your canvas. For the first one, let's just type home. And then let's duplicate that by holding Option if you're on Mac and then Alt if you're on Windows. Just press and hold. And then about. Duplicate it again. Services. Then pricing. So let's just grab those and place them at the middle of the canvas. So now we have the logo, the nav links. And then the last piece is just the button. So let's just duplicate these text here. Then let's just say get started. There are actually a few different ways to create a button in Figma, and the way most beginners do it is the wrong way. So the beginner way, and I did this too when I started, is to draw a rectangle. Let's draw a rectangle here, and then place it at the back of that type layer or the text layer, and then group it with the command G, and just call it a day. Now, this already looks like a button. It works visually, but it's two separate layers floating on top of each other. And the second you try to change the text, say it goes sign up. So now it's sign up, and the rectangle doesn't really resize. So you have to manually adjust everything, like click that or select that rectangle shape behind it and adjust. And if you have 10 buttons across your design, you're doing this 10 times. And that's a painful way to change text in your button. Now let's fix that button by doing the right way. Remember that earlier I built it the beginner way with the rectangle and text on top, like this. But there are actually two proper ways to build a button with auto layout, and you should know both. So for the first method, which is text first, this is the cleaner way and what I use most of the time. Let's start fresh by ungrouping this button here and then deleting that rectangle. Then just keep this sign up text. Then select the text, right click, and then add auto layout. You can also do this by shortcut, which is Shift plus A. Now you see that the text is inside an auto layout frame. In the right panel, I'll add padding, 12 top and bottom. So you see here, this is the padding properties of that auto layout. So on the right side, you see the top and bottom padding. On the left side is left and right. So let's set the top and bottom to 12. And then 24 for left and right. Then add a fill color to the frame. Let's add maybe a dark purple colored background for the button. And then add a corner radius of 8. And then for the text, let's change that to white so it would be readable. And that's it. Now it's a real responsive button. And if you try changing the text, let's say get started, you see that the background is now following the length of that text inside it. Okay, so the button is done. Now let's apply the auto layout to the entire navbar. Same rule applies here. The navbar is a container that holds content, the logo, the nav links, and a button. Anything that holds content should be in auto layout always. The way I like to do this is in layers. We're going to apply auto layout 3 separate times. And once you see why, it'll all make sense. So the first step is to apply auto layout to the nav links. To do this, just select the nav links and then press Shift plus A to create an auto layout. Then make sure that your gap is set to 64 pixels. The next step is to just select everything. We have the logo, the nav links, and then the button. And then add another auto layout for this group. So let's press Shift plus A again. Now the whole row is one auto layout frame. And then for the next step, this is the part where most beginners skip. We want the nav bar itself to have consistent padding. Top, bottom, left, and right. So it lines up with the rest of our content. The easiest way to do this is to wrap the row in another auto layout frame just for padding. So with the row selected, hit Shift plus A again. Now in the right panel, we can set the padding. I'll do 24 pixels on top and bottom. And 100 pixels for the left and right padding. That 100 pixels matches the margin we set on our layout grid earlier. So everything stays aligned. Now you see that the button is actually outside our auto layout container. So what we need to do in this case is just set the width to hug. So it will just basically hug all our contents. And then just align it in the center of the canvas. Then you can manually just set your width to 1440 pixels because that's the width of our canvas. Align center and then align top. Now I'm just going to do a little tweak here. I'll set this button's background to the color of our logo here, this blue or purplish color, just to stay consistent with the whole color theme of our website. Now that the navbar is done, let's build the actual hero section. This is the part of the page that does most of the heavy lifting. So for the hero section, the first thing I'm gonna do is to just grab the rectangle tool. You can click this shape here or just press R. And then draw a rectangle that fills the hero area below the nav. So I'll just drag this up onto the bottom of our frame. And then I'm going to change the color of this into a lighter purple color. I think that's good. So the next step is to create the heading of our hero section or the H1. To do this, you can just click on the text tool below or type T and then click on your canvas and start typing. For me, this website is maybe for a life insurance. So I'm just going to type like this. So for H1s, it's going to be usually like between 56 and 80 pixels, depending on the design. For me, maybe I would go with 72 to just bump it up a little bit. And then I'm going to tighten it up. So just going to grab the controls. Let's see the guide. So let's make sure that it's aligned perfectly with our margin. Now, I'm just going to tighten this more to around 110%. I think that's too much. Maybe 120%. Okay, I think that's good. And then the next one is to create the subheading or the text below this H1. To do that, I'm just going to grab this text here, just copy and paste it inside the canvas. Then since this is a subheading, I'm just going to bump it up a little bit. I'm going to make it 100 or like an 18 pixel font size. And then since I'm not really a content writer or I don't have any like ready-made text for the subheading, I'm just going to use a plugin called Lorem Ipsum. So this basically just generates a placeholder text for us while we don't have the actual content for this. And then since we have the heading and the description or the subheading, I'm just going to group them by adding an auto layout with them selected. I'll just select the H1 and the subheading, then Shift+A. So as you can see that the container is going outside of our canvas. In this case, it's okay to just manually grab the control and then just tighten it up, maybe up to here. Since I'm planning to add an image on the right side, so we have the text on the left side and the image on the right side. So just reduce the width to about like a 50% of the whole container. Then for the subheading, I think this is a bit long, so I'm just going to reduce this text. Just delete. You can decide how long you want the subheading to be, but for me, I think this is just the right amount of text, just 2 lines. And then now we have the heading and the subheading. The next thing to add is the button or the CTA. CTA means control to action, if you're wondering. So for that, I'm just going to copy the button we created on the nav bar, select the auto layout frame, and then paste it. So that will automatically add the button inside our auto layout frame. So if you're observing our layers on the left side panel, this is our auto layout frame. Inside that, we have the H1, the description or the subheading, and then the button. So we have 3 elements inside it. Now, what I usually do is I want to separate the heading and the subheading to the button. So I'm going to create an auto layout with these selected. Then just reduce the spacing or gap to 16. And then let's separate the button more from that group. So maybe 32 pixel, 40. Yeah, I think that's good. Then just move it at the center of our hero section. Then I wanted to have more of like an accent in our hero section or the heading. So I'm just going to highlight the smart policy words and set a different color to them, just an accent. Let's pick this blue. This blue shade is the same as this one and this one. So when you're trying to pick a color in our fill, like color pop-up here, you can see that the colors are being captured right away to whatever is inside our project or file. So it's already in here. I didn't add these colors manually. It just knows what colors you have. So you can just select and use them. So now we have the text part of our hero section complete. I'm going to do the image next. Now for the hero image, I just grabbed something from Magnific. It's formerly FreePic, and just gonna paste it in our canvas here. And then, so I just downloaded a PNG file, which is a transparent image. So let's just resize it to match our margin in our hero section. I think that's good size. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the background shape, which is the rectangle behind it. And then the left side, which is the content of the hero and the image. Then right click and frame everything. So framing is similar to grouping things in Figma. But when you're framing, you have the ability to resize it. So for instance, I'm just going to click and hold command button and then drag it up to here. Then I'm going to enable or check the clip content. It's going to clip out anything outside the frame. Then the next step is I want to add like a logo section below our hero section. To do that, I'm going to create the rectangle element here. Just change the color to a white background. Then the border radius to maybe 12. Then let's add an effect of drop shadow. Set the blur to 30 and the color opacity to like 10. And yeah, I think that's looking good. And let's just center the text here. Just move everything around until you're happy with the placements. Now, since this is a logo section under our hero section, let's just grab another set of logo under the community page of Figma and type logo placeholder. Then let's grab a couple of logos here and then just place them inside your project. And you're gonna see them sitting on top of each other like this. So the solution for this is just to click that dot icon and then add them into auto layout. So click Shift plus A, and then change the alignment to vertical with auto layout, and change it again to horizontal. So that's another trick to fix that scenario. Then just change this to hug contents. Then let's cut, then paste them here. Then I'm going to select all. Another shortcut for that is to select the frame, then hit enter. So the child or layers inside that parent frame are going to be selected. Then let's just reduce the size for all of them. I'm just gonna select the scale tool and just manually resize those logos. And now let's align, then set the gap to maybe 40 pixels or 32. Let's try. I'm just going to adjust the sizing as I see fit. Maybe that's good enough. Then since these are logos, usually I just change their colors into like a lighter gray so that it wouldn't clash too much with the colors on your hero section. So let's do that. Just click the auto layout frame, and then under the properties panel, just click the selection colors. And then, so you see colors here. These are actually the colors that are inside what you selected. So if I selected this frame here, I'm going to see all the colors inside it. So what I'm going to do is to detach all those colors because currently they are connected into a color variable. I'm going to explain maybe variables in the next video, but I want you to just detach each of these color variables for now. And then let's change each colors to a lighter gray. So just click that color and then select the gray color, copy this color here, and then paste it to the rest of the colors. Then I'd want to set the auto layout for this as well, match with the rectangle shape behind it. So let's select this one and then the rectangular shape, and then click Shift plus A. So that changed the whole group into an auto layout, as you see here. And then on the paddings, let's set the padding for the left and right to 40. Then top and bottom would be 32. Then just set the alignment to center. Change the height to hug contents. And let's maybe just change this to 40 as well. And yeah, I think that's looking good. Looking good. Then place this below. And I think for this H1, I'm going to raise the font size a bit to 80, just so it would line up better with the length of our description here. Then just adjust as you see fit. Now I want maybe more elements behind the family picture that we have here, just to make it more like attractive to the users when they first land in your homepage and see your hero section. So let's try like some experimentation here. I'm going to create a circle behind it. I'm just gonna cut that circle, select your frame, then paste it. Now the circle is inside your frame, so it would be also cut whenever it's outside your frame container. So now you can just send this to back. So right click, then send to back. And then since the frame contains that rectangle shape, it's gonna be, the circle is gonna be behind that. So what we should do in this case is to copy the color of that rectangle, and actually I can delete that and then just change the color of the whole frame to that color. So I'm gonna paste that color value. So now we don't have that rectangular shape anymore acting as the background. Instead, I just changed the background color of the entire frame so we can manage that better. Now going back to the circle shape, I'm just going to do maybe like a gradient highlight here. Let's click that fill. Then you can select either a gradient in this option, or if you want patterns, you can upload a source, image, or even video if you'd like. But in this case, I'm just going to select the gradient, then change the color, maybe a darker purple. And then for the other one, let's change it to this color. So yeah, so this just gives like more depth into the hero image that we have. Then I'm going to copy this one actually and then paste it again just to duplicate it. Then create another one, like another bigger shape behind it. Let's put it behind here. Then I'm going to select both of the ellipses, change the opacity to 50. So you get that sort of like an opacity effect from each of the circles. So maybe 50 to 30. Then maybe for the inner circle, going to change the size a bit. Colors, maybe a darker color. Then for the subheading or the text, I don't like it touching on the circle shape too much, so I'm going to just reduce that width. It would wrap around the container. And yeah, I think that's looking good already. Then you can click your frame, select prototype on the right hand panel, click on show prototype settings. Then you select a device based on your frame size. So for us, since we're currently using 1440, I'm going to select Surface 8 Pro, which is a tablet. But if you want like other devices as well, like MacBook Air, or even like a phone size, make sure that your canvas is exactly that size. So in this case, just select 1440 pixels, Surface 8 Pro, click your frame, and then click play. So now you'll see that your design is mocked up inside the tablet, which is the Surface 8 Pro, and you see it in an actual device. So that's another way of just visualizing your design in a device before proceeding with the rest of your page. And yeah, I think that's the end of this tutorial. If you found value watching this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments if you want to see more of this Figma tutorial stuff. And yeah, see you on the next one.